and we'll move on to another vehicle OEM, Daimler Truck in this case. Volker Hasenberg from Daimler Truck will put the fuel cell electric truck into perspective with other potential solutions and the way forward in the sector. Volker has been with Daimler Truck since 2015. He's the deputy head of Department Regulatory Strategy, and probably more important for us, he's also the Global Hydrogen Strategy Manager for Daimler Truck. Before that, he's spent time in the industry at Sphera today, and sorry about my paper slips here, but Volker, without further ado, I hand over to you. You tell us a bit more about your activities at Daimler, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and still good morning from my side. So in the view of time, I would like to jump directly in my presentation and not spending too much time about my career or the information about my company. I'm pretty sure you are aware of Daimler Truck, but I want to first start with what are the actual requirements, mandatory requirements we have already. And probably you are aware of the fleet targets in the European Union, also for trucks in 2025 and 2030, meaning minus 15% and minus 30% in 2030, which we as an OEM have to achieve. But this is only the one side of the requirements we are facing as a society. To give an example, for Germany, we have this climate action regulation, which is already in place and which sets reduction targets for CO2 sector-wise. And in the transport sector and focusing on the commercial vehicles, that would mean that from now on, we have to halve our emissions by 2030. So we have more or less 8 years left to halve the emissions, and doing so and knowing that this can't be done just by switching all good transport to the rail or bringing so much biofuels or synthetic fuels on the market, we have only one option. And the option is a transition, a very fast transition to zero emission vehicles. And here on the right-hand side of my slide, you see what has to be achieved what has to be done to achieve those really demanding targets. And just to give you one number and not going into much detail, we need a very fast ramp up of zero emission vehicles in the new sales fleet up to 80% in 2030. So it will be a bit earlier with regard to battery electric vehicles, but we also need a very steep ramp up of hydrogen fueled electric vehicle. And roughly to achieve those targets out of the climate action regulation in Germany, we need 80% of our new sales as zero emission vehicles in 2030. And you can imagine this is really a huge challenge, and currently we are by far not on track. So we as a company, as Daimler Truck, we started, I call it, with the first wave of mainly serious production of battery electric vehicles, not only here in Europe, but also in other world regions where we are active, and also in all segments where we offer trucks. And knowing that you can't only focusing on one technology. So you may know there are other companies, competitors, they are focusing currently clearly only on battery electric vehicles. We see it differently. We believe that battery electric is the first and the best way to go for shorter and more in regional delivery transportation, and in a way where you can plan directly your routes, and in addition for shorter long haul application. So we see also in long haul application that there will be a use and a possibility for battery electric trucks, but not in all cases. And this is why we say very, very simplified, the heavier and the longer the distance, the more we need hydrogen fuel trucks on the road. But, and this is a clear position from our company, but we need both. Why we need both? So it's clear there are advantages and disadvantages for both technologies. It's first simply that you can see that regarding the range, we have much more flexibility and much more higher range when it comes to fuel cell and to hydrogen fuel trucks, and we see an increase of the range of the battery electric trucks. For example, we showed our pre-series truck e-Actros long haul, which will having a range of roundabout on average 500 kilometer by one recharge. And this truck will come into series production in 2024. But when it comes to fuel cell electric trucks, we can achieve a 1,000 kilometer range by one refilling. So from this perspective, there is a clear advantage for hydrogen trucks. And as we already saw in the presentations before, regarding the speed of recharging or refueling, there's a clear advantage also for hydrogen trucks. And it is much easier to say to build up an infrastructure and get a business case for the infrastructure itself. Then we have a clear advantage on the battery side, and you know all this discussion about energy efficiency. It is no secret and it's crystal clear that the usage, the direct use of electricity in a battery electric truck or in general in a battery electric vehicle, it is much more efficient than first converting the green electricity in hydrogen and then use hydrogen in a fuel cell, for example. But in all these discussions, efficiency is important, yes, but it's not all about efficiency. In the end, you need affordable energy and you need a business case from our perspective for our customers of the total cost of ownership. And when you have this broader view, then you can't just only focus on energy efficiency. When it comes to energy prices, well, in the current situation, we see that there are tremendous changes on the energy markets, and it's not so sure whether we will have really on long term really cheap electricity, green electricity all over available. And the next point is, what about the infrastructure and the scalability of the infrastructure? You need, at least when you talk about really long distance transportations. So if you assume overall in Europe, you can charge at any time, everywhere, with high power to very low cost your truck, then I would say a hydrogen truck will have only a small niche where this is the best application. But there are so many ifs, and I doubt that this dense, powerful, and really high capacity infrastructure for charging will be available soon or will be even available in the long term. Then I strongly believe that we need both technologies. And there is also another very important reason why we need both. So I always hear this argument that we can only spend our money once. So we have no possibility, we have no money to build up two infrastructures. And I would say, yes, our money is limited as a company, but more as a society. And exactly that's the reason why we should build up two infrastructures. When we just belong only on recharging infrastructure for all application, the invest will be so huge since you have as you need so high charging stations from the power side that you invest much more in the infrastructure regarding high voltage lines and transformation stations and so on and so forth. That is much cheaper than you develop and build up two infrastructure in parallel. And that's also a main reason why we say we need both applications, because from our customer point of view, it fits best when we have both options. And also from the cost perspective, not only from a customer cost, but also from a society cost, it's the best option to focus on both. Yeah, and we saw already some examples where fuel cell trucks will come on the market or are already on the market. So our planning is that we come with our series production in the second half of this decade, so approximately in 2027. Our prime path is liquid hydrogen. That's very clear, because we see the most advantages there by using liquid hydrogen. But we do see that in the first years, gaseous hydrogen will be probably more available. And this is also an option we are looking in, and we will certainly offer also to our customers. And one last word to the availability of liquid hydrogen. Yes, is it true when we currently see the activities and the already existing production sites for hydrogen, there will be not really a lot in terms of production and transporting liquid hydrogen. And that's the reason why we started strongly activities with partners from the energy sector to build up such a liquid hydrogen supply chain that we are able to have liquid hydrogen available end of this decade to have the position and to have the possibility for our customer that liquid hydrogen will be one option to use energy in the commercial vehicle segment. So this is my end, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Volker, and thank you in particular for the strong message that you sent that, yes, we need both technologies, and actually the efficiency argument is a quite difficult one and not a really decisive one, because I can add to that, we've did some analysis a few years back, and if you want to provide, as you said, high power charging at the time you need it throughout the country and throughout Europe, you will actually lose almost the same amount of efficiency in the system, because you need the storage that you would otherwise have in the truck. You need that in the system to provide the short-term power needs to the refueling stations or to the charging stations that you have in these cases. So a quite important argument, which I think has to be repeated again and again, because many people still think electricity is just there. But with the advent of more renewable capacity, which is intermittent, we're running in exactly that issue. And I think Johannes Trippler has equally pointed it out this morning when putting things into context in the energy system. So thank you very much again.